Welcome back to my inner sanctum. I'm your hostess, Countess Elizabeth, mistress of the macabre. People love going to the circus to experience a wide range of entertainment. The part of the circus that we should not overlook is the freak show. Freak shows used to be a common phenomenon in most circuses and would have a wide variety of freaks. On this video, my fiends, we will look at those that are different from us, the variety of freaks in the freak show. So, let us peruse the attractions at the freak show so we can explore our grotesque curiosity. The phenomenon most of us recognize as contemporary freak shows began in the 19th century, but the roots of such shows actually extends back into the 17th century. During that time, individuals with medical conditions that radically changed their appearance would earn a living by traveling and putting themselves on display. Today, we're going to look at a variety of popular freaks of their time. Schlitzie the Pinhead, also known as the last of the Aztecs, was actually not an Aztec at all. Rather, Schlitzie was born in the Bronx with a condition known as microcephaly, which has been in the media again recently as it is caused by the Zika virus. Characterized by a small skull and brain, it causes severe mental retardation. Standing about 4 feet tall, Schlitzie was able to speak several short phrases, but needed assistance with other daily tasks. He also appeared in a few films, and is best known for his role in the 1932 movie Freaks. It is said that Schlitzie had the cognition of a 3-year-old. He was unable to care for himself and could speak only in monosyllabic words and form a few simple phrases. However, he was able to perform simple tasks, and it is believed that he could understand most of what was said to him, as he had the very quick reaction time and the ability to mimic. Those who knew Schlitzie described him as an affectionate, exuberant, sociable person who loved dancing, singing, and being at the center of attention, performing for anybody he could stop to talk with. He lived to be 70 years old, however, until his passing in 1970. The next freak was the star of the W.H. Harris nickel plate circus, Ella Harper, who was born with a condition known as genu recurvatum. This condition allows one's knees to hyperextend and actually bend in the opposite direction knees normally bend. As such, it was most comfortable for Ella to walk on all fours, earning her the name the Camel Girl. While the condition had a pronounced effect on her physical state, her mental capabilities were perfectly normal. She stated, "I am called the Camel Girl because my knees turn backwards. I can walk best on my hands and feet, as you can see me in the picture. I have traveled considerably in the show business for the past 4 years, and now this is 1886. I intend to quit the show business and go to school and fit myself for another occupation." The next freak on our list is General Tom Thumb. Charles Sherwood Stratton had dwarfism and was known as General Tom Thumb. When P.T. Barnum learned of Stratton's dwarfism, he sensed opportunity. Barnum took Stratton under his wing and taught him how to sing, dance, and impersonate famous historical figures. At the age of 5, Barnum presented him to the world as General Tom Thumb, making Stratton lie about his age, saying that he was 11, as to make his small stature seem even more remarkable. Barnum took young Stratton on a tour of Europe, making him an international celebrity. Stratton appeared twice before Queen Victoria. He also met future King Edward VII, at the time the Prince of Wales. Stratton's first performances in New York marked a turning point in the history of freak show entertainment. Before Stratton's debut, the presentation of human curiosities for entertainment was deemed dishonorable and seemed to have an unpleasing carnival attraction. However, after viewers were introduced to Stratton's performances, he was able to change the perception people had towards freak shows. Stratton's lively and entertaining performances made these types of carnival shows one of the most favored forms of theatrical entertainment in the United States. Stratton performed with the circus for 40 years until his death in 1883. At that time, he amassed a fortune and would make himself a millionaire in today's dollars. In fact, he even bailed out Barnum's circus during a particularly difficult time. This video would not be complete without mentioning Lobster Boy. As shocking as his appearance is, Grady Stiles' real-life story is even more shocking. Stiles' condition was known as erectodactyl, which causes hands and feet to fuse into claws. The condition ran in Stiles' family. In fact, he was the 6th generation of his family to have it. His father was already performing in the circus when Grady Stiles was born, so he entered the circus life early as the Lobster Boy. In his adult years, Stiles became an abusive alcoholic. He actually murdered his daughter's fiancé on the eve of their wedding in 1978. After pleading guilty to third-degree murder, he was sentenced to 15 years of probation because there were no prisons capable of caring for someone in his condition. In 1992, a nearly karmic turn of events took place as his wife and son from a previous marriage hired yet another street show performer to murder him. Stiles was shot in the back of the head 3 times while watching television, and that was the end of Lobster Boy. The next performer is Stephen Brwowski, born in 1891, Poland, known as Lionel, the lion-faced man. Stephen endured a medical condition which is known as hypertrichosis, which is also commonly associated with werewolf syndrome. In an odd twist of fate, his mother was convinced the condition was caused by her witnessing his father being mauled by a lion while she was pregnant. Unable to handle his appearance any longer, she put him up for adoption when he was only 4 years old. He was adopted by a German entertainer who put him on the circus circuit. By the time he was put on the exhibit, Lionel's hair had grown 8 inches, 20 centimeters on his face, and hung about 4 inches or 10 centimeters everywhere else. His body was almost entirely covered in hair, with the only exception being his palms of his hands and the soles of his feet. Despite the original reactions of fear from circus patrons, they warmed up to Grabowski's pleasant demeanor, as he is reported to have spent much of his time conversing with circus goers, which was relatively easy for him, as he spoke 5 languages. Another famous freak show performer is Isaac W. Sprague, the human skeleton. Sprague was born in Massachusetts in 1841. Up until the age of 12, he was considered completely normal. One day he fell ill after swimming, and it was then that his muscles started to atrophy. Before long, he had barely any muscle tone left. At age 24, he was rendered unable to perform any other jobs, and as such joined the P.T. Barnum Circus as the human skeleton, or the original Thin Man. Sprague made attempts to stay away from the sideshow, but he could not escape financial distress. It is rumored that in addition to being financially responsible for his wife and 3 sons, Sprague had a gambling problem. His condition also kept him from finding any real work outside of Barnum's circus, so he continued to tour on and off throughout the country and eventually overseas. He died in 1887 of asphyxia, likely related to his muscular condition. He was measured by a doctor just 2 years prior at age 44. He was 5 foot 6 inches tall and weighed a mere 43 pounds. The most famous freaks that I'll mention here are Chang and Eng Bunker, the Siamese twins. They were widely exhibited as curiosities and were 2 of the 19th century most studied human beings. The brothers were born with Chinese ancestry in today's Thailand and were brought to the United States in 1829. Physicians inspected them as they became a famous part of the freak show. Newspapers and the public were initially sympathetic to them, and within 3 years they left the control of their managers, who they thought were cheating them, and toured on their own. In early exhibitions, they appeared exotic and displayed their athleticism. They later held conversations in English in a more dignified parlor setting. In 1839, after a decade of financial success, the twins quit touring and settled near Mount Airy in North Carolina. They became American citizens, bought slaves, married local sisters, and fathered 21 children, several of whom accompanied them when they resumed touring. Chang and Eng's respective families lived in separate houses, where the twins took alternating 3-day stays. After the Civil War, they lost part of their wealth and their slaves. Eng died hours after Chang at the age of 62. An autopsy revealed that their livers were fused in the ligament connecting their sternums. You can still see their conjoined liver to this day in the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia, where they also have a plaster death cast of their torso. Well, that was truly a grotesque tale. These were some of the really popular freaks of their time. The ones that I was most familiar with were the Siamese twins. It would make me happy, my fiends, to someday take a trip to the Mutter Museum of Medical Anomalies to see their conjoined liver. A lot of these freaks were really famous in their time, like General Tom Thumb, who I guess made the freak show a more acceptable form of entertainment. To me, the craziest one is Lobster Boy, in that he is just a crazy person without his deformity. May those freak show performers' souls rest in peace. Thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, and share if you would like to keep exploring our grotesque curiosity. We will meet again in the darkness of the night.